That's all right.
That's how that's how it rolls, right?
Yeah, we'll work the kinks out.
There's no there's no looking super professional like the news media.
Well,
Just got to roll with it because we are who we are.
yeah, we'll get there.
We'll,
We've got another month, so we'll all be experts by the end of this.
we'll be all experts when we're just back in our cars doing business as normal,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Introduce yourself, Brian.
hi, I'm Brian Walsh with Caliber Home Loans. I've been in the mortgage business for about 18 years. I've been through some interesting times, but this is probably now officially the most interesting of all the interesting times.
I bet.
I know. I think we like to grab onto a specific word in our culture, it seems like, and overuse it. So the current one is unprecedented. Everybody is using unprecedented. I guess September 11th, the big word was resolve, right?
Right.
And so I've kind of brought those two together, right? So it is unprecedented, but at the end of the day, we're Americans, right? And we have resolve. So you're starting to see it, right? People helping other people out, uh,
Absolutely.
just reaching out to your neighbors, making sure everybody's okay. And yeah, business is still happening, but at the same time, making sure that business that's not happening for people that might have gotten laid off, figuring out, if it's your neighbor, figuring out what to do to help them,
Right.
so
Right.
it's always, and it's a little difficult, I guess, in my position because I'm sitting here grinding it out because everybody has refinance questions, right? That owns a house, and
Sure.
there are still people buying houses. So, like I just got off the phone going over a closing disclosure with a first-time home buyer buying a pretty amazing house for his first house, and so people are still buying houses
Okay.
now. It would be inappropriate for us to act like nothing's changed, and the market is as robust as it always has been, and the traffic is as busy as it's been, because that's not a true statement. But I'm just seeing a lot of resourceful, good real estate agents like yourself figuring out how to help people out that need to sell their home, and helping people out that need to buy a house. Maybe their lease is coming up, and they already had plans of buying a home. And I know that I feel like it's similar right now, or kind of goes in line with what Warren Buffett always says, right? As far as buying stocks, when everybody else is selling, that's the time to buy. And in times like this, with opportunity, with interest rates uh, where they are, depending on the day. I'll talk about that in a minute. Uh, Now's the time to do it because, previous to the pandemic really kind of breaking out here earlier in March, uh, I've been busy December, January, February. Like the last week of February, first part of March, brought in 23 loans, but 9 of them were purchase transactions.
Wow.
And so I've probably had the busiest December and January that I've ever had. So in January and February, you're seeing a lot of competing offers out there, is my position. Versus now, yeah, there's still some competing offers, but you might be competing with one other person instead of 5 or 6.
Right. Right.
So that's where my brain goes. If people can, uh, I don't know, calm their brain down a little bit and look at, exactly where they are. Yes. Is it uncertainty tomorrow? Yes. It always is uncertainty, but yeah, definitely more today uncertainty than there, is historically. But, if now's a good time, if now's a time that you need to buy a house, it's a great time to do it,
Right.
because you're not competing with the dreamers and the looky-loos that the market could have. Now it's like there's nobody out kicking tires. If they're
Right.
looking at a house they
About,
want to buy.
yeah, if they're on about looking at a house, they're buying.
Totally, totally. So,
So can I ask you a quick question?
sure.
So, I mean, since things are changing rapidly and obviously on a daily basis, for those that have already kind of gone through that pre-qual process, but job has changed or they got laid off, like what kind of advice do you have to them, and what would re-qualifying look like for those individuals?
Um, I guess I have a couple of thoughts for people in that boat. This is temporary. I mean, even the mortgage meltdown that was, catastrophic. There'd never been a downturn in our economy like the mortgage meltdown since the Great Depression.
Right.
You always have recessions. We've been on the brink of a recession. I mean, there's been economists, trying to predict the recession for over a year. It's going to happen next quarter, or whatever. And so, um, I guess I've come up with the first step I would say to everybody is, since you know where the hospital is by your house, near your house, you know what the symptoms are of this virus. And Facebook is going to provide you with every protocol and then some of what you really need to do to protect yourself and be safe. Turn the news off. The news is what's amping people up and creating more anxiety.
Sure.
And I tell this story over and over, but I turned the news off in March of 2014. And I've actually doubled my income since then. I've put myself in a great space mentally, and I'm aware of propaganda now. When I see stuff, whether it's Facebook or I happen to decide watching the news might be a good idea,
Right.
rarely happens to me. But we got done watching The Voice the other night, and there was an NBC special that came on that was about the pandemic. And I thought, man, maybe there's some stuff I'm missing through just scanning the internet and Facebook. So I'll watch it. Within 5 minutes, the person that was doing the segment was amazing, right? Super good. He should just be on a drama show, because his voice and the interviewing that he was doing with his doctor was creating drama, right? It was kind of creating that anxiety. I could feel it. And I just was like, I turned it off. And I'm like, their deal is to sell, that fear, is my opinion. So turn off the news.
Yeah.
and and dial into what your situation is. I think now more than ever, people need to go back over the last 90 days and analyze where they've spent money,
Mm-hmm.
and breaking out into, need versus want, all of those things, right?
I know.
Um, yeah, I was fortunate, right? Because I was dealing with people in the mortgage meltdown. And so I saw what people were going through, and I saw what people didn't have in savings on applications before the mortgage meltdown. And it just, frankly, it freaked me out. So, and thanks to a great mentor, Kathy McLeod, I got super good at getting dialed in with my money.
Right.
And so, um, that's kind of where I'm going with people, is like, look at where your expenses are right now. And if you lost your job, you don't have a choice, right? You're
Right.
getting serious about what's a need and what's a want. Snicker bars aren't a need. It's a
Right.
want, right? You need some meat to eat dinner.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You don't need a box of Oreos.
Right.
So, anyways, so with the people who have gotten laid off, I would say just take the time and pause and get your budget in order, because you're going to get a job back. It's going to happen,
Right.
right? And now, depending on where they're at financially, it might take them a little bit more time, meaning financially, meaning, what do they have in savings? What are their resources to, keep paying their rent or their current mortgage payment?
Sure.
But just, step back and reassess your current situation, and then what you can do different, so that when you get a job, it's full steam ahead. You're buying a house.
Right.
And because many people are paying $2,000 a month for rent.
Too many.
Yeah, too many, right?
Seriously.
So so that's 100% interest that you're paying at $2,000 a month. You're tossing away $24,000 a year. And so when people talk to me about, like, oh, maybe I should just rent right now versus buy, well, we're not going to have. It's not likely that we're going to have, a fallout like we did um, after the mortgage meltdown. This is more like what I've been listening to different economists. This is going to be more like September 11th. September 11th was a 90-day deal,
Right. It was a
right?
pause. A pause.
It was
And
a pause, right? And now, you know, unemployment rate, I didn't go back and look at that. I don't know that 6 million people,
right.
applied for unemployment,
Right.
back in September 11th. But even if it's kind of a hybrid, I look at where we are today as a country versus right after the mortgage meltdown. We recovered, and we'll recover again. And yeah, we get to say because we're Americans, but the human race recovers. If you study history, it's things cycle. So anyways, I would just say for those folks, pause. Now, if you're under contract and you have a job, what's super important is that you get with your mortgage loan officer, make sure that the mortgage company you're working with has uh, a good contact information for your HR person, because employment's going to get verified probably around a 2-day window, 2 days prior to closing. There's
Sure.
an update that came out today. I hadn't had a chance to dive into it to see exactly what those protocols are. Yesterday it was 3 days before closing, but I'm guessing this stuff changes daily, so it could be tighter. So what's really super critical is that if a mortgage company cannot verify that you are still working and employed, they're not closing that loan. So then you're going to delay closing. So it's super important that they figure out who the mortgage people have to talk to verify the employment. Now, the challenge is there's so many companies working remotely. So it might be a person from HR that's working remotely, but they're using a cell phone. Well, that cell phone can't be verified through Googling it associated with the title or with the mortgage company or with the company they work for.
Right.
So there's an additional protocol that has to happen. Then that person would have to send an email from their work email stating that, Mary Beth Smith still works at whatever company,
Yeah.
and verifying that. So it's really super important to get dialed in with the mortgage person you're working for, because it's not a situation of where, oh, maybe they won't call. Because if that didn't get verified, the mortgage company that closed that loan will have no place to deliver that loan in the secondary market. So
Gotcha.
I would say if there's anything about a buyer under contract right now, that's super critical. And then if they're self-employed, they're going to have to sign an affidavit stating that their employment is not affected by this, which there's a lot of different questions around that right now, because if you're buying a house, you might live in a gray area and say that your employment hasn't been affected.
Right.
So there might be some additional things that are being done by mortgage companies to actually verify that your employment has not been infected.
Right. Which will change daily again, the
Right.
protocol.
Yeah. I know I've been trying to set out emails and reach out to realtors and just kind of have conversations with, where things are at. It's like by the time I formulate what I want to say, it's changed.
Right. Well, yeah, and it changes daily, and I mean, there's new questions that arise, and but I appreciate you coming on today. Hopefully, this will help a lot of people out if they've got any questions, or they can comment on this video and ask questions. And what are some other questions that you're getting, I guess, from agents or buyers or um, within transactions that are happening right now?
The biggest, I mean, people that locked or sit and sweet.
Right.
Um, uh, there's a few people that thought rates would drop a little bit more and not lock, wanted to roll the dice, but things change daily. So uh, the biggest question I guess I've been getting over the last week or so was people calling for that, low 3% interest rate. See, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, logged in and rates were 5% on a
Well,
30-year fixed. And I was like, what?
right.
So of course, all of us in the mortgage business who've been doing it for a while have friends at other companies. So you're always price checking. Totally. And so picked up the phone and called my buddy. and and they were at 5% as well. And I was like, okay, cool. It's not my company. It's just the market, and what's going on with that. The significance behind that is it's the repercussions, right? Cause and effect. So the government says, hey, you have the opportunity to skip mortgage payment for 3 months.
Right.
Well, now what people don't understand, and I didn't either, so I'm not acting like I'm this like super knowledgeable guy about every piece of the mortgage business. I haven't had to know anything about the back end of the business because I've never worked in servicing. I've always been on the front side. I've learned more in the last 2 weeks about the back end of this business. It's just insane. It's like almost your head spins. There's so
Right.
much information there. But here's the deal. So when a consumer doesn't make a mortgage payment, the servicer of that mortgage still has to pay the investor, whether that's Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or HUD, Ginnie Mae, whatever. So all of a sudden there became this concern about liquidity, because if a few million people aren't making their mortgage payment, all of those servicers are still having to pay, uh, the investor for that payment.
Right.
So that's where it was just on Monday morning that the government created a facility for mortgage companies to uh, borrow money from to make those payments. So they're just doing everything they can to help, stabilize the mortgage industry. So I don't think the news has really grabbed down a lot of this stuff, but trying to explain it to people is kind of, it's a lot for people to understand anyways.
Right.
So, but anyways, so that's the big thing. Now our rates out there. Yeah, I just locked
Can I
a few loans.
can I
So
go back just a minute?
sure. Yeah.
So, because I know you put a post out for people that are struggling to make their mortgage payment, what would you advise them to do rather than just turning their head and saying, "I'm just not going to make, I'm not going to make a payment. I'll just figure it out when all this settles down." What would you advise that they do instead?
Well, they need to call their mortgage company servicing department, and the hold times are going to be insane. So Caliber took, gosh, it was over 1 million calls in the last week.
Wow.
So the hold times are ridiculous, but you just can't arbitrarily not make your mortgage payment. So what's also servicing with the GSEs, it's the government-sponsored entities, which is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So every mortgage company in America that's doing the cheap 30-year fixed mortgages, whether they're a bank or a non-bank lender, they're using Fannie and Freddie for those conforming loans.
Right.
So you have to, as a servicer, you have to follow Fannie Freddie rules. So really, to avoid making the mortgage payments, you have to be in a situation where you just can't make the mortgage payment. So what I read yesterday quickly was once you're 2 months delinquent, then they won't report that to your credit, and you get to go 3 months without. But at the end of the 3 months, when you make that payment, the next payment in month number 4, you have to pay all the payments. So it's kind of an interesting concept. It was almost like I didn't understand it, like I didn't believe it. It's like, really, is this how this works? So, but I just haven't had a chance to dive back into it. So that's where I say, don't take what I say, don't take what anybody else on Facebook says. You have to pick up the phone. You have to talk to your mortgage company. And if you have the resources, I would suggest making that first mortgage payment.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
And you were diving into rates.
Oh, diving into rates. Yeah. So
Kimberly.
they're all over the board. A piece of the puzzle that's happening as well is due to the liquidity concerns with every mortgage company across America. They're just being smart. They have to manage their volume. So they might have their rates higher for refinances. Pretty much all the good companies in America are separating purchase versus refinances. So in other words, I'm never shut off on a low rate for purchase. All right. But on the refinance, my company is like, they want us to feather those in so that we don't slow things down for the realtors and the consumers buying the houses. We don't want to plug up the system with just a ton of refinances. But the other piece of that puzzle is as far as like getting those loans off the books. So like yesterday, my company opened up the faucet for us a little bit. So, I had a couple of purchases and brought in, I think, 3 refis as well. So it's just a matter of managing that out. And I locked those all into threes. And there were different scenarios. So I don't want to really quote rates with
Sure,
it,
sure.
because credit score impacts it, program impacts it, and whatnot. So, um, but anyhow, so the rates are there. I would just tell people in the refinance world, just be patient, because historically, when we have a recession, interest rates are low. So it's not like you have to have this anxiety that if you don't get a rate lock today, you're never going to get this, sweet low rate.
Right.
So,
I forgot I was going to ask you something and now it slipped my mind. So we talked about refis. Oh, are you seeing, I know, I mean, what are we in, going into the third week of quarantine? Are you seeing things delay as far as closings go?
I have no wood around me, so I don't want to answer that question. I want to knock on wood. Oh, wait, I have a guitar over here. So,
I mean, we're going to see
you
in the,
know, the title companies have been amazing.
yes, I,
You know, with I know a friend of mine owns a title company, so he was like the first guy I called as far as like, hey, what are you doing? You know, as a small business owner, and so he was like, I don't want to, you know, he said, I don't want to advertise it. I'll close anyhow, anywhere, anytime. But he says, one of my closers just, you know, signed documents on the hood of a car. And that was like 2.5 weeks ago. And it just
right,
had to do with, yeah, it just had to do with the lady was like super conscientious. She was in self quarantine. She was being super respectful. So she happened to have gloves and a mask, and she just came outside, signed the documents. But anyways, here or there, you know, they're using Zoom, doing whatever, you know, to walk people through documents.
right,
So it's, I would say, you know, the title companies are doing their part to not slow things down. So I've not had any of my closings delayed because of it. The only thing that I could see potentially delaying a closing at this point, well, two things, right? Would be an appraisal, but the GSEs have kind of loosened up on the automated system. When you submit a file through automated underwriting, it tells you whether you need an appraisal or not. It's called a PIW, property inspection waiver. So they've kind of lightened those guidelines up to reduce it as well. But I could see an appraisal, you know, being delayed. And then if you know, I can't emphasize enough about collaborating with your mortgage person on how to verify your employment, because that's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, there's no lender that will close that loan without that verification, because they will not be able to deliver that
right.
to an investor. So
Great.
there's a long answer. There's a long answer to your short question.
Yeah, no, no, this has been super informational. I think, I think
Yeah.
it can help a lot of people out. I think maybe other agents will tune in as well, and hopefully this will answer some of their questions. Is there anything else you want to add, Brian?
You know, I don't know. There's so many things. It's hard, you know, to
Right.
like just sift through it and figure out, you know, how do you concisely, uh, I watch an hour podcast, you know, from somebody that's just insanely knowledgeable about the business. How do you, you know, shave that down into just a quick, you know, 5-minute explanation? And so that's the fun part. But you know, I don't know if I can't say that I have anything else without like, you know, like making this thing go on forever. You know, so
Well,
spilling the candy in the lobby, so to speak. You know, we'll just kind of bleed it out as we
right.
know what's
Maybe
going
we'll
on.
bring,
So.
bring you on next week as things evolve and change. If you want to pop on again, we can
Yeah, that'd
do
be awesome,
that.
because it's pretty certain that things will be different.
Sure. Yeah.
You
This
know, so
afternoon.
so yeah, by 4 o'clock today, I'm sure I'll have a new piece of information that's different than
Right.
yesterday. So, but it's all good. You know what? Mortgage companies are closing loans. Like I said, if you have to buy a house, now's a great time. You know, if you need to refinance, be patient. Reach out to me. Reach out to, you know, your favorite lender you've worked with before, and just be patient. And I've never been a fan of timing the market, but this is just have to wait for the right time for the rate to be, you know, in a decent spot. Don't be greedy. You know, like I went over a payment last night with a lady that locked in. The difference in 1/8% on her loan was $24 a
Oh,
month. And so, you know, it was like, I don't remember. I think it was like a low $300,000 amount on the financing. So easy for me to say, the guy that's not writing the check every month at $24 a month is no big deal. It's easy cash. But at the end of the day, when you put in perspective, you know, don't hang out to save $24 and then miss out on the opportunity, because this stuff changes fast. It's crazy. So
absolutely.
you know what? I will leave you with one thing. There's a high balance loan situation. So
Okay.
the high balance, so you have the conforming loans and you have the jumbo loans. Okay. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac lend up to $510,400 across the country. That's the standard maximum conforming loan amount. But then in more high cost markets like Denver, they have a high balance loan.
Mm.
So we can go up to 575 in the Denver market on this high balance loan. Well, that high balance window doesn't exist right now.
Okay.
So like I had this lady approved at on a high balance loan, 563 loan amount. And unfortunately, she wanted to ride the market and didn't lock
Mm.
a week ago. The reason that loan does not exist right now is because when the government stepped in and created the facility for lenders to make the mortgage payments on the folks that are having to skip payments, they capped it at 510 400. They didn't deal with the high balance.
Oh, wow.
So now when a lender closes that high balance, they don't have a place to deliver that high balance to on the secondary market.
Right.
So that doesn't even exist. Ended up doing a first and a second. So that's what we did always. We always did that before Fannie
Right.
created it, to keep people out of the jumbo loans.
Yep.
So it's just like, you just got to be resourceful. But
Right.
I would just say that if you're pre-approved, reach out to your loan officer as well, just to make sure that what you're pre-approved for exists. The other
Right.
thing of it is, I know I'm giving too much info now, but FHA and VA, there's some companies that are willing to do them, but that's a whole other topic. Let's save it for next week. Let's see what situation arises between now and then. I can do FHA and VA loans in the conforming loan amount. So anyways, that's it, I guess.
Brian, before you go, where can people find you online? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, they can't find me in person, right? Because I've
Oh,
been, self-quarantined in the House of Jewels underground here in an undisclosed location. So, anyways, my phone number is 303-898-3575. It's 303-898-3575. My email address is brian.walsh@caliberhomeloans.com. So that's Brian with an I, BRIAN .WALSH @caliberhomeloans.com. And then I have an easy website too that people can just apply online at brianmymortgageguy.com. And all my contact info is there too. That's brianmymortgageguy.com.
love it. Brian,
So
my mortgage guy.
there you go. So thanks
Thank
a lot, Jade. This was awesome. I
you.
appreciate the
Thank you
opportunity.
so much, Brian. I appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll be in contact here
Yeah,
soon.
yeah,
But let me know if you need anything, and
absolutely.
here for you too.
Right on. Likewise, we all need to be here for each other. So,
Yes.
all right. Have an awesome day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Am I in now?
You're in. You're in and live.
Hi.
Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yep. I'm Kim Lackey, and I'm the broker owner over here at House to Home Real Estate.
Awesome.
No.
What do
Well,
you?
that was good. That was good listening to Brian and listening
Yes.
to the rates, and it's about what I've noticed as well. Especially with our transactions that are already in process.
Yep.
Just a few little things have changed, and that's entering the property. So our inspectors are asking that nobody else be at the inspection, and then we have a conference call when everybody's done, and go over the inspection report. Appraisers are asking that sellers not be in the property during appraisal. But it's all moving. There's quite a bit of transactions going on within House to Home, and even one of our agents is buying a new home for himself. So it's definitely still moving along.
Things are still moving.
Yeah.
No,
One of the biggest difference I've noticed is at inspection, and if you haven't bought a house, you get to inspect the house and go to the seller and say, this is what I object to, whatever, the furnace isn't working or whatever the story is. Well, at this point, what I've noticed, especially with homes occupied, is sellers aren't allowing contractors in. So now they're negotiating money or, home warranties or those kinds of things, price reductions, concessions, versus, okay, yes, we'll clean and certify the furnace. So that's a little bit different, but again, as long as everybody ends up happy through through the negotiation, it's a successful one.
Right. Oh, that's great. I'm glad we're still rocking it with house to home. We're still working 24/7, right?
Yep.
This is my broker and my best friend, if for those of you who don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think, I've been just reaching out to a lot of people within the industry. I think, you and I talk daily on what's going on, and you're, discussing transactions and how things are changing. I think, for the most part, we're just trying to be a resource for a lot of people out there. Talking to Brian before, about the forbearance and, struggling with mortgage payments. We really want clients and consumers to reach out to us if they are struggling, to be at the forefront with them and help them, navigate what that looks like and how we can help and be a resource for them. So do you have any tidbits on that?
I think Brian really said it well. There's so much, and the big guys being Fannie and Freddie and Ginnie and all of them, they have their own rules. What is your loaned back by? Who is your loan back by? Just call the mortgage company, talk to them. From what I understand and what I hear, it's a long wait time. But now they've got the we'll call you back button, and
Right.
Some people are waiting up to 45 minutes to get a customer care representative. So
Wow.
yeah, but I just call them. If we get completely upside down, you're not I am not going to be able to do this, call us and we will make sure we get through it. Guaranteed you have equity in your home.
Right.
So let's just figure it out.
Yeah. And not ignore it.
Right. It's much better to pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
When you realize there's one.
And deal with it, and we have some time to deal with it and just strategize together on those types of things. I think so. For me personally, I know some of my buyers are on hold, which is understandable with just kind of things being a little uncertain. And then same thing with some listing clients as well. I guess we had talked before a little bit. What can homeowners do right now with their homes?
Okay, that's a double question there. First and foremost, it is time to buy. It is time to buy. It is time to sell. We've been looking at all the numbers. People are scared, so they are withdrawing their properties off the market. So now you can go and really negotiate. You can, you're going to be the home on the block that people have been looking at. And the ones that are buying and are ready to buy, they've been putting together their finances for months. It's not a split decision.
Right.
So everybody's really ready to buy and ready to sell. There's a lot of steps to make sure, the sickness isn't coming into your house, those kinds of things. And of course, we all have plans and we can go over that. But if we're sitting at home, not doing much, and your home is your source, your equity, your retirement plan or part of your retirement plan, yeah, there's a lot we can do to bring the value up. That's inexpensive. And now, because Home Depot apparently and all of those guys are essential.
Yes.
So we can go and get some caulking and caulk the tubs. That makes a big difference. And just caulk the bathrooms, make them nice and clean. You're going to get, return on that automatically. Like your mom and dad were doing last night, sand and paint the cabinets.
Right? Replace the knobs.
Make sure all the knobs match in your house. But sand and paint the cabinets. Make sure everything's matchy with the knobs. Paint.
Good time to paint. We're stuck indoors, right?
It's a good time to paint. The number one paint color for investors, or we used to call it realtor beige, right? Just neutralizing the house, is called agreeable gray.
Yep.
That agreeable gray is going to match your brown furniture, your gray furniture, black, whatever you have going on. And same with the carpet. If you have browns or grays, it's just going to mimic that color. So that's agreeable gray.
That's Sherwin-Williams paint. I remember that. I remember that when I worked at Richmond. That was like the big hot ticket. There was agreeable gray everywhere.
Everywhere. Yep. And you can just, Home Depot, pick whatever paint you want, but it is the color, declutter. I'm sure everybody's doing that. How did this closet get this way?
Yep. I need to do my office. I won't let you see the rest of it. I cleaned this
Just
part.
with this.
Just right here.
Let's see. What else was I thinking? With that caulking that you were doing in the bathroom, go around the windows. Let's start doing some energy efficient things. Even if you don't plan to sell your house, maybe we can save a dime here or there. Change out your light bulbs to LED. Make sure the doors seal correctly.
Weather stripping.
Weather stripping. Change the filter in your furnace. Y'all are hanging out in your house. Change the filter.
Yes. Breathing all that air in.
So and that's going to make your furnace more efficient, or your AC, depends on where you are. I saw Heather on here earlier, and they're down in Texas, so I'm sure they're starting to kick on AC.
Oh, I bet.
And then what we're doing, since we have time, is scrape the popcorn off of your ceilings.
Ew.
I know, you're gonna have to do it. But things value.
Sure.
When you walk into a property that has popcorn, it automatically makes it dated.
Yep.
So you've got time.
Curb appeal too. It's not a great day for it today, but curb appeal.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On the outside, the exterior, we have some time to get that going. And
yeah, exactly. Weed, get your flower beds ready.
Yep.
Exactly.
You like it.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do to bring value.
Were there, I'm trying to think. I don't know. What else are you kind of seeing? Are you seeing any other agents that, we as a brokerage are doing fairly good right now and trucking along, and we've got some closings next month. Some more listings coming on in May.
Yep.
Maybe any tidbits for agents out there that you could give right now that might be tuning in that aren't with the brokerage?
So the call we were on earlier this morning, one of the biggest takeaways, amazing. One of the biggest takeaways I got from it was we are marathon runners. This is a career. This is something we are involved in. The housing market is the backbone of the economy. It's going to continue. We are continuing. Some agents may be getting idle and not working. Where do I find people? They're all in their house, but where do I find the people that are?
They're there, call them.
That are buying, selling. What do I do? And we are in a marathon. But at this point, we're at the starting line.
We're training.
So we're training. Do not let your muscles get cold. Do not, because the ones that are actually stretching and working, even if it's not the way we envisioned it or the way it was a month ago, showing houses, going on listing appointments, we're still working, because the minute that gun goes off, we're going to be ready.
Yeah, I loved that today.
And the gun will go off. So
off to the races.
Off to the races. And as a consumer, which we are all as well, get your finances in order and get ready to invest.
Yeah.
Yes, pull out those 3 years of tax returns, get those bank statements ready, start getting your fingers into the market, even if it's a little condo, something. Let's start building our financial wealth, because we don't know what the housing market's going to do. And if it's going to, if it becomes a buyer's market and property values start to go down, great. That's when rents go up. Let's get into being a landlord. Let's maybe look into all of that. There's a lot of ways to build your wealth that's going to continue to feed you, no matter if it's recession proof.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now is the time to strategize. Like you said, work on finances. I know me personally, my husband and I have been working crazy on finances and strategizing and just trying to kind of prep everything and keep those muscles warm, and let's go. We got some goals. It's 2020.
Got the time, and right now we've got the time to reevaluate. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing on social media is people reevaluating, what's important, who's important, all of those things. And we've got the time to sit and really work out our books, our goals, and strategize. Let's
and prioritize. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us were probably focusing on things that weren't as important. And we realize now that we, since we had to kind of, the reins were pulled, we're like, wow, now what do we do? And you realize what's important and what's not. And you have that time and that space to really work on it.
For sure. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else you want to add?
Not really. We will all get through this. If you guys need anything, if you have any questions, especially housing, taxes, well, not doing your personal taxes, property taxes, don't call me for your personal and just reach out, or I sent out a few cards just saying, hi, call me.
Yeah.
My phone's here. You're in your house. You need a break from the kiddos.
Yeah. They're in the closet while the kids are trying to find them. Hide and seek in the house. No. Where can people find you?
Well,
not physically right now, but virtually.
Yeah, I'm at the office.
Virtually, electronically.
Yeah, of course, housetohome.com, housetohomecolorado.com.
Yeah, and then you're located. You do have an office in Arvada.
Yeah, we're right here on Ralston Road in Old Town Arvada. So,
yay!
Yeah, reach out to any of us. We're always on social media. We're at the office. We're here.
Thank you, Kim, for joining.
Thank you. Yeah, if you need anything, call me.
I will, and hopefully they will too.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too. All right. Kim Lackey with House to Home Real Estate Broker Owner. I hope you guys enjoyed today. Reach out. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, you're struggling, you want to share positivity, you need a mental health break, we're all here for you. We're all pulling for you. We're in this together, and we'll see you tomorrow. If you know any other businesses that want to hop on tomorrow, trying to do this anywhere between 12 and 2-ish, not that it has to be 2 hours long, because that's kind of long, but if you know any businesses that want to speak up, and I'm looking for restaurants, breweries, would love to talk to food banks. Anybody you know, would love to have them on. Could be a dry cleaner. We have dry cleaning. Like, can we not pick that up right now? That was a question I had the other day. Just a random thought. But anyway, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Reach out if you need anything. Bye.